Hey, this is not a snow day. Remember me? It's Kevin Ozar with my now wildly infrequent YouTube channel, and I thought I'd reach out and say hello to everybody out there on wherever you may be. Here in southeastern Michigan, it is a few days after the American Thanksgiving. Lots of different ways to celebrate that. The day after was Indigenous Peoples Awareness Day. It is snowing outside, so what better day to get back to snow days? Wanted to thank everybody who has been watching. Thank you people who have been sending in comments, and so I wanted to say something that I've been thinking about over the holiday. A lot of people really bummed. Some version of sad, all the way to angry, resentful to resigned about the inability, seemingly, to observe holidays benchmarks, life benchmarks, the way that they usually do so, the way they're accustomed to it. We couldn't have our family over, or we weren't able to travel, or we felt bad that we were choosing to travel, and all that comes with trying to manage a global pandemic entering month 7, 8, depending on where you live and when you started paying attention to this. And that's hard. That's really hard. We had a small, just my immediate family here, and did some cocktails with friends outside for as long as we could stand it. It was pretty chilly that night, and hung out with my parents for 30 minutes in a garage. Super classy. But that's the thing, right? So how many times have I been lucky enough to spend some time with my parents, and it was literally unremarkable. Wasn't that big a deal. But this time we were in a garage, and there were space heaters, and we made jokes about the shovels and the snow boots, and it was different. And that differentness could be a reason to be upset. Certainly could be something to feel sad about. And yet, when groups of people gather, when families, whatever family might mean to you, gather, we almost always find ourselves retelling the stories of that group. Do you remember the time? Oh my gosh, how about when? And everyone's heard it. And all kinds of groups do this. It's the oral tradition of passing on the culture and the values through the past to future generations. And my kids now know some of my college friends' stories, and certainly, do you remember when? And they have their own version. Do you remember when we were up north at one time and this happened? Oh my gosh, and we retell these moments because they are remarkable. And what we have is the opportunity to make new, interesting memories. We almost never tell the story of, remember the one time everything went the way it's always going to go? Yeah, and then it happened the next day, and then it happened again. We don't tell those stories. We tell the stories when things are different. And so this Thanksgiving that we observed here gave us the opportunity to do things that were new. Our daughters made some of the food that they wanted for the first time they stepped in the kitchen. I made a turkey in a pressure cooker. Highly recommend. Cook time, 45 minutes. Get at me. And that's remarkable. That's new, and that's different. It's something we wouldn't have done had we been in the pattern of what we always want to do, because there's comfort there. And tradition is important. I simply want to try and call to the forefront of our thinking the possibility that different, while sometimes bringing a sense of loss for what we can't do, creates much more vivid memories, creates potentially new traditions. And it is the stuff of stories. It is the stuff that we then look back and say, do you remember that year? Oh, that was when I was wearing a cast. I remember that because that's different. I don't usually wear a cast. Oh, that was the year we couldn't be together. That was the year we sat outside under 3 heaters and 1 fireplace just for that 45 minutes of conversation, laughter. Oh my gosh, that was the year. Remember, my mom couldn't come. So there's power in that. And while we're living day to day, we don't realize that we're also building our life story. And so I want to call to people's attention the fact that you are creating quite an interesting chapter in your story. And that's powerful. And these will be things that we look back on. And we can look back on them lots of different ways. And with the more grace and patience that we can live them in the moment, the easier it'll be to look back with a smile. And also, if that's not possible, you can always look back and say, oh man, I'm glad we don't have to do that. We're back to normal. And it'll help us be more grateful for that. These are all big ideas, and they are way easier to say and talk about into a ring light than they are to actually live. And I don't want to give any possible message that I'm doing this perfectly or otherwise. Yeah, it's what I'm thinking about. And it's a thought that just kept kind of rattling around in my brain the last couple days. So I thought, I want to share this with my friends out there in YouTube land. Boy, that really made me sound cringy and old. So you're writing new stories. You're potentially creating new traditions. If nothing else, you're underscoring the importance of our usual traditions that one day we will be back to. So I hope you're being well. I hope you're taking care. I want to remind you that you can always check out my other education project, the Bloom AV Club, supporting parents, teachers, and schools who are online schooling or distance schooling. It's www.bloom, B-L-U-M-E, A-V, club, C-L-U-B.com. Check us out. Reach out if you know students or schools that are really struggling with this and they need some more training or PD or support. Please hit me up, send me a message. I'd be happy to help them out as best I can. If you like this message, share it. Send it out. If this is something that helps you frame the upcoming holiday to New Year season, absolutely share it. Maybe it'll help somebody else out as well. Comment down below if you want to share some of the great new traditions or things that you did to make this holiday season seem a bit more normal or absolutely abnormal and you just leaned into it. Whatever that might be, I'd love to hear it. Thanks so much. Hit subscribe if you want to get new episodes whenever they might come out. And know that you're always building a story and you are in more control of that story than you think, even when it seems like a lot of life's events are kind of out of control. Thanks for watching. This is not a snow day. Just another day. We do our best with what we can. Take care. Be well. Wash your hands.